Good afternoon, good evening for some of those folks who are joining in from the other parts of the world. Good night for some of you because it's 3 a.m. and someone just joined in. Welcome to the launch of the ADB Innovation Hub. What a fantastic 3 days it's been. This is our last session of the Knowledge Forum. We have had so much being discussed about highlighting knowledge management over the past 3 days and the work that our colleagues in ADB are doing. However, so often the word innovation kept coming up. You know, innovation and knowledge management and knowledge are so intrinsically linked. And at such a timely opportunity for us to be launching the Innovation Hub of ADB at this time, we have a great lineup of speakers who will be speaking to kind of not to try and convince you because the hub is going to happen, but to make a more compelling argument as to how we have arrived at this conclusion that the launch is a reality for us and the hub is going to happen. So with that, I would like to request Uchong Am, the Managing Director General, to talk a little bit about his support for the hub and why he's been a champion for us in this. Uchong, over to you.
Thank you, Vivek, and thank everybody for joining this in all kinds of hours. So welcome to this session. So by now, no one is questioning why this is so important and this is so needed. And you know, this pandemic is actually bringing in all kinds of new innovations to what we do. And you know, we have to make sure that we are working much more sustainably and resilient manner. So in 2021, moving forward, you know, we are seeing that developing countries are much more mature and their needs for engagement with us is constantly changing and they want more and more. And so with that, the role of the ADB is changing quite rapidly as well. So from the traditional lender to one of those, you know, strengths, the DMC's knowledge and innovation ecosystem. So what have we done so far? So our strategy, long-term strategy 2030, articulates the ADB's role in promoting and facilitating and driving innovation. And ADB's recent efforts to advance innovations include streamlined business processes, expanded outreach of knowledge programs, enhanced human resources and talent management, and strengthened technology focus and project design. So ADB has launched several bank-wide initiatives in this regard to promote the innovation all across the bank. So some of the examples include the recently completed resident mission review, and also this ongoing culture transformation initiative, and there are many more that's happening. So in order for us to walk the talk, 2 years ago, Innovation Task Force was formed. And I remember the first meeting with Tomo and myself in the room downstairs. I think it's called the LRC, the Learning Center, and over 150 staff from the departments all over the bank joined completely voluntarily. That was quite amazing to see, and we were convinced that we were ripe. ADB was ripe for innovation, and this was followed by the Innovation Fair and Roundtable last year in 2020, and the launch of the Knowledge Management Action Plan early this year. So what is this hub? So Innovation Hub will be a platform for strengthening the linkage among various initiatives at the ADB and also in collaboration with the external partners to provide a hub and spoke network. The Innovation Hub will pursue areas where ADB needs to focus on to become a premier partner of choice for our developing countries. And there are a few things that we got to do. And these include financing solutions and program design, partnerships and networks, and training and learning programs for institutional capacity building initiatives. So we need everyone's support for this to be successful. So I call on all departments and senior management and staff at all levels to contribute to this hub. And over the next few months, we have some exciting things planned, such as working with existing initiatives to streamline innovation within ADB. Perhaps we should create this innovation tab, a tag, like urgent tag, so that when we send something around, people see it with a different lens so that we don't do business as usual. And second is institutionalizing the definition of innovation. and creating a framework for implementation. And finally, is it possible for us to have a physical room designated as a hub? I hope so. So let us look into this, and hopefully by the time you come back, we can have a physical hub waiting for you to come and enjoy and use all your innovative energy in there. So I would like to thank the knowledge team of SCCC especially, but also everybody who's connected to this call for bringing our vision to fruition. I look forward to the Innovation Hub taking off in the coming months, and good luck to everybody on this call and beyond. And back to you, Vivek.
Thank you so much, Uchong. You can count on us for kind of making sure the implementations where our focus goes next. But it was important for us to kind of pause here and celebrate one milestone, a journey of over 2 years, as you mentioned. And if ADB has to become a premier knowledge solution provider, it depends on its ability to innovate, transform, and to be able to adopt and adapt and be agile. So the Innovation Hub plans to do that, exactly what we are wanting to do. But before I talk, and we have a little video as well that we are launching today. But let's talk to, we've got some folks who are coming from CITRA, Social Innovation Lab, as well as the Armenia National SDG Innovation Lab. We invited them to give us a little bit of an outsider's perspective as well. What is happening in the outside world in terms of innovation that we in ADB need to reflect on, absorb, and internalize, so that when we are actually implementing or running the hub, we should know what's going on there. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Dishani Senanayake, who's the Gender and Experimentation Lead at CITRA. Thank you so much, Dishani, for taking the time. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Vivek. And then congratulations on, I think, a fantastic 3 days of events with dynamic speakers. Hi, everyone. My name is Deshani. And as Vivek mentioned, I'm from CITRA Social Innovation Lab here in Sri Lanka. And today I just want to share with you all a little bit about CITRA, what we've done so far, and most importantly, how we've actually shown proof of concept and shown people why a public sector facing innovation lab is so crucial to responding to a government's requirements. So for those of you who might not be too aware, CITRA was established in 2018 and is considered a first generation lab. And as such, we act as a bit of a mentor lab to the 60+ UNDP accelerator labs established around the world. We focus on areas ranging from education to youth and entrepreneurship to capacity building and public sector officials to digital transformation. And of course, we also retain that experimentation arm so that we can take on any new issues that might come up in the future. And since we've been established, we've had the privilege of working not only around the country, but with various different innovation setups around the world with whom we've learned from, shared our experiences with, collaborated on joint projects, and much more. This is a quick overview of the different areas of our work and what we've been actually able to do in each of them. So very quickly to share, we've equipped over 650 public sector officials through our capacity building initiatives. We've empowered over 18,000 young people around the country and incubated 35 early stage youth social enterprises. We've positioned ourselves as the go-to partner in all things innovation and digital, and have formal agreements with organizations such as the ICT Agency, the Department of Motor Traffic, and the Vocational Training Authority as well. And we've also supported large-scale issues of national importance, such as the work with the Presidential Task Force on Sri Lanka's education affairs in developing its roadmap to transform our education sector through a bit of an innovative and digital lens. And how we've done all of this is really through our core approaches that you see here. And this is what I want to focus on because as a lab that's been working since about 3 years now, these are some of the ways in which we have been able to withstand the various ever-changing contexts that we're constantly faced with. First of all, everything we do has a very strong human-centered approach to it, essentially meaning that we always try to keep the end user at the heart of everything that we do. And we also try to always co-design our solutions to ensure that it's as organic and grounded in the real situation as possible. Another really important approach is always trying to be forward-thinking and engaging in horizon scanning exercises, which allow us to position ourselves in the very best way possible to service the government whenever these new and challenging issues do come up. And of course, last but definitely not least, the ability to be flexible and agile. this is one of those approaches whose importance, I think, could never be overstated, because this, in its essence, in my opinion, is what sets apart an innovation lab from any other team. Being able to always move around, anticipate and effectively respond to the needs of, in our case, the government. So very quickly, I'll take you through two specific examples which showcase how these approaches actually work in real life. One is our support to the country's digital transformation agenda. Through our principle of always looking out for the next big thing, we realized that digital transformation could be that. And so we started to kind of look into it, see what the context was like here, and try to get our thinking aligned to the global trends. And it was around this time that a new president also came into office in Sri Lanka, someone who was and still is very much interested in harnessing the power of digital solutions to address some of the key challenges facing our country. So building on this, we facilitated an initial scoping mission in January of 2020 to understand the country's appetite for a transformative change in this sector. A few weeks after this, the National ICT Agency also received a new board. And since we had spoken to quite a few of them already during the scoping mission, they already knew about us and the prep work that we had done, so to speak. And interestingly, their first meeting was at the Citra Lab itself, where we were able to speak quite freely and share with them ideas. And we're happy to say that even now, some of these insights are still contributing to the national level interventions that are starting to take shape now, including taking a very holistic approach to this entire agenda itself. And lastly, our work with the Department of Motor Traffic on facilitating systemic transformations from all angles. This was something that was already in our radar because this department alone services more than 1,000 requests every day. And there were tremendous opportunities from our perspective to further elevate their service offerings through digital and other means. So while we were sort of laying the groundwork and getting our sort of work in order, the president actually visited the department and very publicly highlighted many areas which needed to be sort of looked at and improved upon. And it was after this that the department actually reached out to us to ask for our support. And since we had been already kind of doing that prep work and anticipating this, we were able to fully take advantage of the situation and get started right away. So as you can see, in both of these cases, our approach of being forward-looking and most importantly, flexible enough to take advantage of our prep work and act fast on the issue is what really allowed us to carve out a very strong position from which we can then work from.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Dishani. I think the reason to also have you and bring out these two examples is there's so much other work happening in ADB in certain sectors and areas. And for the hub, when it's defining its work program, to keep in mind that there are partners such as you who are already working in the field, and we don't need to replicate any of those efforts, and we only need to learn from you. And we've got exciting things planned with Citra, as well as our next speaker, Tigran from the Armenia National SDG Innovation Lab. They're already working with the ADB resident mission in Armenia. Tell us a little bit about that work, as well as what you're doing with the government. Tigran, over to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this event. It's my pleasure to be part of the huge and broader community of innovation leaders in the world. And congratulations, I'd like to join the congratulations of my colleagues with regard to the launch of the Innovation Hub. Indeed, this is a great event and opportunity for the countries and the people of the region to benefit from the knowledge that will be created through the operation of this hub. And of course, apart from that, we are part of the overall network globally, and it works both ways. I mean, we will benefit from the learning, from the knowledge that will be generated by the hub, and the hub will be benefiting from learning of the experience of the SDG Innovation Lab in Armenia operating. So I'd like to make a small, very brief presentation about the operation of the lab. SDG Innovation Lab was founded 4 years ago, and it was one of a kind experience for the UN and the governments in the world because it was established jointly as a joint initiative by the government of Armenia and the UN country office in Armenia. And it is co-chaired, the management board is co-chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister of Armenia and the UN resident coordinator in Armenia. So it has a high level of access to the political decisions in the government, as well as the data infrastructure, so that we can use the data to benefit from the insights that are generated by the analytics. So we have two main directions: the public policy development and implementation, and public service innovation. We have different tools that we use in order to get closer to the increasing the quality of life of the population. So we use design thinking as a process that leads us to the citizen-centric policies and services, the data science that generates more insights out of the data, and using the technology kind of as the artificial intelligence is, and the behavioral insights to understand more the people that we would like to guide the behavior of. And alternative scenario development, which we are playing with now, and will become one of the main tools that we're employing for the government. So we work in many sectors and with many different partners throughout the world and in country in Armenia. So just two examples from one of the tools that we employ in Armenia, and all of them were very, very successful. And through these tools, we got the buy-in of the government to start using those innovative approaches in the policymaking and service delivery. So one of them was increasing the uptake of the cancer screening program in Armenia. So we have conducted a behavior experiment in one of the most disadvantaged regions that had the lowest rates of participation. And we could increase with just sending one letter to the eligible population and one reminder with 667%. So we could bring more people to the hospitals in 2 months rather than the government could bring in more than 3.5 years, because we have employed just a very simple tool, behavioral intervention, with a behavioral nudges that were incorporated into the letters. Another experiment could raise the tax compliance in Armenia. And just with very simple tools, as sending out one email to the SMEs, we could increase the declaration of the tax and payment of the taxes with 13.7% and 10.6% accordingly. And we have tested different types of messages, and we could find out for the government the most effective one that they can use later on. And we have already changes in the communication strategies, both in the tax revenue committee and the
you have a minute, yeah? 1 minute.
Okay, sorry. So, and we have developed a few of the tools that could inform the policymakers on making more effective and to the ground citizen-centric decisions. Like one of them is travelinsights.ai that shows the insights of the tourists that have visited Armenia and posted reviews on different platforms like TripAdvisor, the Booking.com, and Facebook pages. Another one is editowork.am, which shows the labor market demand based on the analysis by AI-powered analysis of the job announcements in Armenia. So those are the tools that are very effective now in the policy making and used by the different ministries and the Prime Minister's office. So, but all in all, like talking about the in general, the innovation in general, it all boils down to learning, to be adaptive, to be agile, and to use different, very simple tools just to nudge the government and the people to be more different, to transform themselves. And it is vital, actually, to preach what we live. So we need to transform ourselves first, like we are transforming the UNDP and later on approaching the government. And so that will probably be the formula for the ADB as well. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Tigram and Dishani, if you allow us, if you don't mind, we can add your PowerPoints to our expo as well, because there's been a lot of demand for our materials that we are sharing there. If it's okay with you, we'll add it there so that people can also peruse through the entire slide deck in a little bit more leisurely time. Yeah, and we'll organize some more calls with you to kind of discuss how we are going to be partnering with both of you in the ADB Innovation Hub. You've been long-standing partners for us from the roundtable days as well. So, so this was just a teaser to our audience over here on the Knowledge Forum. Now, let me very quickly, we wanted to do a PowerPoint to explain what the forum, the hub is going to do, but we said, why do a video? Because we're supposed to be innovative. Why do a presentation? So we have designed a quick animated video, which you've put together in very short time. Hopefully you all will enjoy it.
From climate change to biodiversity loss to now the COVID-19 pandemic, The world faces more and more complex problems that do not have simple, straightforward, or quick solutions. From major disruptions that completely change the way things are done, to incremental and subtle improvements that eventually transform the way problems are solved. ADB aims to champion and drive innovation in Asia and the Pacific region. ADB's Innovation Hub is a key component for operationalizing ADB's Knowledge Management Action Plan. The hub is envisioned to support our innovation agenda by creating a culture of innovation and strengthening innovation ecosystems in DMCs and within ADB. The hub will aim to answer hard-pressing questions like, what is ADB's understanding of innovation? Which areas should ADB innovate in? What kind of innovations are required? And which innovations should ADB promote and scale up? The hub will achieve these goals through 4 interconnected activities. Applied learning to build the capacity of ADB staff to use innovation tools. Effective knowledge management to provide a repository of useful knowledge and innovation practices. Creating partnerships and building networks to strengthen the innovation ecosystem. Financing new pilots and projects to catalyze innovation. With ADB's regional convening power, the trust of its members, and project management and financing experience, ADB's Innovation Hub is perfectly placed to drive innovations. For more information on the Innovation Hub, contact SDCC-KC.
Thank you so much. That was our teaser video. So we have a longer version in our expo, so you can see that. This is just to kind of give you a sense of what is the hub going to do, and we have 4 key service lines. Now, in the next segment, let's bring the story back to ADB. We have asked 3 speakers to come and share their experience on innovation and what they are going to be working on with the hub. And let's start with Uzbekistan. Enrico, tell us a little bit about how the reality has changed on the ground and why this hub could be useful to work with.
Thanks, Vivek. First of all, I guess good afternoon. I'm the Deputy Country Director here in ADB's office in Uzbekistan. From a country perspective, I think the hub could be very helpful as both a knowledge depository and a solution provider. The country that I'm based in is currently undertaking a series of important structural reforms, which includes, for instance, a very ambitious privatization program. This has been, until recently, a very state-dominated economy, but this is not the first country that, of course, has decided to undergo this transformation program from a state centralized to a more private sector participation. So what I think ADB has is really this depository of information, which the hub can manage and can somewhat become the center for diffusion of knowledge. Now, what I was going to mention is that there is a gap on information on how to handle, for example, this privatization process in terms of how to handle the workforce, how to handle the redundancy, how to handle the unintended income or maybe intended outcome actually of these programs. So there's really a need to a little bit look at how to handle the social safety nets, especially the labor adjustment costs. So the way we could see the hub, it could be a resource for providing these solutions. For instance, the introduction of retirement schemes of laid off workers, the retraining of workforce. Well, for instance, just to give you a very recent quote from our Vice President, VP Chen, which was here yesterday to speak at an economic forum of Uzbekistan, he drew attention to the Chinese experience, where by incentivizing foreign direct investment to joint venture, that actually facilitated the absorption of workforce. And of course, this is really the kind of experiences that the Innovation Lab could bring about as solutions. Now, another area where you, as our information provider, can help us fill in the gaps is the provision of financial solutions. Now, the level of sophistication of this country is not very high at this point in time, but there's increased demand especially in key areas for a more sophisticated financial solution. A key area which I'm myself very involved is as private-public partnerships, PPPs. It's easier to use the acronym, I think. This is again related to the reform process, which is encouraging the private sector participation in the economy. So partnering with SOEs under these reforms often requires dealing with newly formed or recently reformed entities, and which per se might not really be bankable. Hence, there's a need to employ financial instrument that credit enhance these institutions to be credible partner in these PPPs. So this hub could provide or even play, I guess, a key role in providing this financial solution to project teams, by drawing examples of similar structures in other countries, and also by bringing expertise to client countries on how to adapt this solution to the local context.
Yeah.
So Vivek and other guests, given this limited time for discussion, these are just a couple of examples that I thought of and are directly related to my work. But really, the gap-filling role of the hub from a country perspective is to support the discovery and delivery of client solution. We have the knowledge, we have the experience, as well as the resources, but we need somewhat to help connect the dots at the country level to present the answer for our clients.
Thank you, Enrico. That Julia, who's our principal learning and learning specialist here in ADB, will be talking a little bit about the need for ADB staff capacity on innovation and what some of the plans are for her to help us make sure that we actually grow staff capacity there. Julia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vivek. As Wichong said, there's clearly a desire for innovation and a hunger for innovation in the organization. And when I look around ADB, I see innovation all the time. But I think we're not quite there yet in having an embedded culture of innovation. To drive innovation, a culture of innovation in our projects, both our staff and our clients are going to need to build an innovation toolset, an innovation skill set, and an innovation mindset. But as one of our previous speakers said, you don't achieve that through traditional training approaches. So ADB's Innovation Hub is also going to be a learning center for both our staff and our clients, with characteristics that reflect how great learning occurs. It's going to be applied and collaborative. It's going to be transformational, and it's going to be grounded in our values. In ADB's Hub, we won't train people on theoretical case studies. Our intent is that we're going to bring real client challenges into the Hub, because our research and our own experience will tell us that the best learning happens on the job. We are motivated to solve real world problems. In ADB's Innovation Hub, we also won't learn alone. We're going to bring a diverse set of voices into the room, because we know that when we look at a problem from a diversity of perspectives, we're going to understand it better. Learning in the Hub is going to be collaborative, and it's going to be collective. Now, it's tempting to think, because it would be easy, that to build innovation capacity, we just need to fill the cup, to just keep adding more tools into our innovation toolkit, more skills into our innovation skill set. But in the modern world, filling the cup is just not enough. As the world changes around us and the pace of change continues to accelerate, we need to shift our thinking. To support our clients with their most complex challenges, we don't need to just fill our cups or theirs. We need to help everybody change the size and shape of the cups themselves. Collaborating with our clients to address their future challenges requires us to move beyond additive learning towards transformative learning. In the ADB Innovation Hub, great things are going to happen, because we will literally learn, change, and grow together. And in so doing, we're going to learn and innovate better. And finally, our approach is going to be grounded in ADB's new values. It's going to be client-centric, because we're working on real client problems and challenges. We're going to build strong relationships to demonstrate our trustworthiness, and it's going to be transformational. The ADB Hub is going to operate as a studio for applied innovation and learning, working on real, complex client and project challenges, with combined client and ADB project teams for collective intelligence. It's going to be a studio-like experience that supports experimentation, and we're going to use fit-for-purpose innovation tools. We will bring in experts and expert protagonists who will be embedded in these teams. And we're going to have facilitators and coaches who won't only drive the innovation process, but who will importantly support the process of learning. ADB Innovation Hub is going to support both staff and clients to drive innovation and learning in support of a prosperous, resilient, inclusive and sustainable Asia and the Pacific. And we are super excited to get moving, working and learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julia. Julia, you should know that we're going to have a little competition for the name of the hub as well amongst ADB staff right after. So your studio for applied innovation and learning is right there on top. Thank you so much. With that, let's talk to Anuj. Anuj is actually, Anuj Mehta is already running an innovation lab here at ADB with a little bit more focus on a particular topic and a sector. Anuj, over to you. Tell us a little bit more about how this hub and spoke model that we've been talking about can work.
Thanks, Vivek. Hopefully you can hear me and see the slides.
Yes.
And yeah, congratulations for the launch of the hub to ADB as a whole. Looking backwards a little bit, sort of in the next two and a bit minutes, I'll just sort of share a little bit about the experience from the third Innovation Hub, which was launched about 3 years ago in 2018. It is the vision of our DG then, and the experiences from that, I think, will help inform, the work plan as it's developed for the Corporate Innovation Hub. And I think as Wu Chong very nicely laid it out at the beginning, I think the Corporate Innovation Hub is a great place for really cross learnings from what all the different regional departments are doing. So, very quickly, clearly with the way that the countries are evolving, ADB's value addition needs to evolve. And when we looked at the third Innovation Hub development, we looked at two things. Both the SDGs and climate tracking was off track, and financially sustainable projects or bankable projects were off track. So what we basically said is those are the gaps that we need to address, a mixture of climate financing, but also innovative financing where our money is leveraged a lot better. So the whole point was, how do you add value? We need to build pilot projects which can scale up quickly. We need to bring new ideas to them, originate, develop capacities of government officials to be able to structure projects better, be able to offer that expertise in-house, have a team within us rather than say, we'll get you a TA in a year's time. How do we do that? And bring in financially innovative models. So our focus and our vision has been green and innovative finance, very specifically for the third Innovation Hub over the last 2 years. We developed a mission statement which very clearly put this at the centerpiece, which was, how do we develop and leverage each dollar of sovereign financing through the public sector projects to catalyze at least $5 or $6 for green and innovative projects, finance from different sources. So we call it PIC, which is private, institutional and commercial capital into projects. We created 5 activity pillars for this. We have focal points for each of this in the hub: an in-house team, knowledge and capacity, development of concepts, global partnerships, and then most importantly, creation of a green fund. How are we doing? Pretty well. We have a decent team in place with financial structuring knowledge at their fingertips, lots of workshops, great products. Most importantly, we've been able to raise about $2 billion in green funds from 13 partners worldwide, and a host of achievements from so many different places which are taking us forward. So my last slide is it's a great channel, the Innovation Hub, to bring ideas and cutting edge ideas which actually can help countries reduce their own public funding deficits, as it were, and bring in financing from different sources. So our focus was green and innovative finance. We have 13 partners, lots of partnerships even with the UNDP on blue finance coming up soon. And that's really created a fantastic profile for ADB to be able to take value to our countries, and we hope to be able to bring those experiences and lessons to the corporate hub. I'll stop there, Vivek, and hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Anuj. I think that also shows us that there's so much to work with together with all of you, and there are some other hubs that are operating in ADB. I actually had one slide to show to tell you what our next business plan is. What is the work program going to be of ADB's Innovation Hub? But in the interest of time, I'll skip it, but I'll tell you what the 5 points were. 1, socialize the concept even further within ADB. communication and branding. Number 2, staffing and who's going to run it, the governance structure in for the Innovation Hub, knowledge advisory center, how our center is going to be working on that. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is internal operationalization, linking it stronger with the knowledge management action plan, KM and innovation roadmaps within ADB, as well as the innovation framework that needs to be launched soon. 4 is pilot hub service lines, the 4 service lines that you saw in the ADB in the video. We want to make sure that we have got something going there, and that's one of the reasons we want to start a series of talks as well. And number 5, funding, developing, securing funding options, financing options, and fast tracking what Uchong said at the very beginning, what is tagged as innovation, right? How do we work that out internally within our system? With that, I will stop here and thank you all. And congratulations to everyone on the launch of the Innovation Hub. We look forward to working with all of you in this. And with that, we move to our closing session. Sorry, Suzanne, I gave you the microphone 8 minutes late, but over to you right now.
Okay, I hope you can all see me. Well, thank you. Very happy that we've launched the hub. Now the work continues. I think that was the message you gave us. Thank you everybody here for partnering with us. I think it's important to see what's happening in public sector innovation labs across the world, and of course also in labs in another organization in the private sector. What we want to do now is first award the selected teams of the ADB Expertise Locator Challenge. And this was a very difficult process. We have to say we had overall, I think, 20 applicants. They went through various rounds. It was a very well managed process. And we also had 2 teams from within ADB. And we are very happy and proud that we are now awarding this, the final, we can't say the best selected, but the one which is fit for purpose for us is actually the ADB team. And the ADB team will partner. What we will do is, because we couldn't decide which technical solution to use, the ADB team will partner, will decide with which technical solution they would like to partner. And we think we do this because we learned in all our IT reforms and IT solutions that we are rolling out that we need to be more user-centric. We need to bring us as ADB staff into this process to ensure that whatever solutions we use, they are fit for purpose and we are part of the design process. So with that, congratulations to the shortlisted ADB team. And just to make sure everyone knows who this is Struls Hugot. He's an economist in the Economic Research and Cooperation Department. It's Dimitri Kabelyan. He is a senior public-private partnership specialist in Central West Asia. And Akmal Natayev, he's a senior financial management specialist in PPFD. So for all the external teams that have participated, I hope you understand that we are selecting this team now first, and then they will decide with which technical solution they can work with and how they will engage with you further. So congratulations to that. I think this was a really innovative process for us in ADB, how we engage in technology solutions differently and how we bring our own collective knowledge and our user experience to play. So I think that was the second part of the agenda of the closing session, right, Vivek? Yes, and now we can go to the third agenda item. And for that, I would like to invite again, Uchong, who will share with us his call for action. But first, we'd like to hear from DG Watanabe from BPMST about his reflections on the forum, the takeaways, and critical reforms that are going on in BPMST, which are relevant for the Knowledge Management Action Plan. And then we will hear from DG Tomo from our Strategy and Policy Department, how it links all with the reform efforts in the Strategy and Policy Department. And we are very, very happy to have Dean Sonobe here with us from the ADB Institute to show that ADB Institute and ADB is one, and whatever we do it together. I think a few reflections before we start, and then I hand over to DG Watanabe. The last 3 days have been an enormous collective effort. We've engaged over 160 different staff members across 25 sessions. We organized this in a very short time frame. We used a new IT platform for the very first time. We did everything ourselves. Nothing was outsourced, including communication campaign. We were able to mobilize very prominent speakers from, the global debate on knowledge management, on new state capabilities like Mariana Mazzucato, but also from, behavioral science, from NASA. We had the ISO auditor here. So I think what we were able to do is, and that's the feedback we got, position ADB as a credible institution that is keen to make knowledge management an integral part of who we are, how we work, and how well our enterprise performs. And I think we have a lot to do, and we are very happy to see all these reforms coming together. We understand that many of the staff members want to see this really in action. How is their daily life changing? Is it changing or not? And I think that's why I'm inviting now DG Watanabe to share some insights with us.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne, and good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate the team for the hold and prepared dedication for this excellent 3 days event of the Knowledge Forum team for the great event. So I'd like to try to make my remark briefly. The ADB's client value proposition is in large part derived from the experience and knowledge which it brings to and co-create on our client project in the region. Our ability to do this important knowledge work is dependent on our internal working environment, supporting curiosity, experimentation, learning, and even failure. ADB is investing to transform how we work together so that we can better serve our client and drive the development impact. Let me mention just a few relevant initiatives. We have 3 new award-winning leadership programs that have innovation, collaboration, and dialogue at their core. There are fostering leadership at all levels of the organization and empowering our staff to exercise leadership every day in their work with our client. We are now promoting the ADB-wide Cultural Transformation Initiative. We call it CTI. We have defined the 3 organizational values: client centricity, trustworthy, and transformational, and also the 15 associated behaviors. These will guide and foster an organizational culture where we can individually and collectively strive to deliver our strategic ambitions, Asia and the Pacific. We are undertaking the review of our job family and job architecture also to build a more inclusive and equitable HR environment for all our staff. And we will invest in building the skills of our managers so they are best equipped to support and enable our staff to deliver their best knowledge work. What we have seen over the course of the 2021 Knowledge Forum affirm my belief in the power of learning and knowledge. Of course, this is not the end, but one step on the journey. I'm delighted that my department and SDCC people are partnering to bring the new applied learning approach into the Innovation Hub. The new collaborative initiative will support the new generation of knowledge workers, innovators, and innovation to meet the complex challenges our client faces. These are exciting times. Yeah, lastly, I'd like to repeat my congratulations to the Knowledge Forum team for the great event. Thanks.
Thank you very much, DG Watanabe. I think you made also very clear, it's all of our staff's responsibility, each of us, to actually be that change that we want to see. We cannot delegate that responsibility to anybody else, but we have to be really part of this. So thank you very much, DG Watanabe. So if we can hear now from DG Tomo, a few of the initiatives from SPD.
Thank you, Susan. And first of all, good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, congratulations for the successful forum. Thank you very much for inviting me to this closing session. Strategy 2030 commits to strengthening ADB's role as a knowledge provider to provide the most relevant knowledge product and services in response to clients' needs. And the strategy also emphasizes the needs to ensure practical value of knowledge that fits local conditions. We've got these very clear objectives in the strategy, but To turn these into actions, we need to ask ourselves some tough questions. Where should ADB focus its effort in strengthening knowledge services, innovation, and regional positioning to maximize its development impact, considering the external environment and our current and maybe future strength? How can staff sector thematic expertise be strengthened? How can staff capacity be increased to allow more time for innovation and the knowledge work? How can ADB improve knowledge flow and coordination across the institution? How can more emphasis be placed on project quality over the volume of lending operations? How can ADB create an environment which is more conducive to innovation and also the replication of innovative solutions across the client countries? You know, we have already started a journey to find the answers to these questions. We have started to implement resident mission review recommendations to empower resident missions as a single interface with client countries for knowledge services. We have also started to implement knowledge management action plan. We have reinforced a country partnership strategy as a key platform for knowledge supports to clients by redefining and strengthening the role of country knowledge plan. Technical assistance is a core instrument for our knowledge services. We have completed a comprehensive review of our technical assistance operations to improve their efficiency and effectiveness. We are also proposing rebalancing of our workforce composition so that more knowledge service can be provided by ADB staff. Ongoing sovereign operations IT reform project will embrace the digitalization of our operation and also provide the useful infrastructure for sharing lessons learned and then institutionalizing them. Lastly, the ongoing organizational review aims to complete this journey by looking at all the remaining institutional issues. I believe this knowledge forum has been a great opportunity to learn and get insight from outside experts and also our colleagues to support this journey. And thank you very much for your active participation, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tomo. Just for everyone who's wondering why we have DG Watanabe and DG Tomo here, this is aligned with the KMAP pillars. The first one, people and culture, and obviously DG Watanabe represents that pillar. And then the process and systems pillar, which is of course represented by the DG Tomo. And then we have the relationships pillar, and that's where we invited, of course, the ADB Institute. And now we'd like to invite Dean Sonobe to share his takeaways and thoughts and how we enhance our one ADB approach to the collaborations and the work that we do with ADB Institute.
Thank you, Susan, for having me here. Hello, everyone. Let's congratulate ourselves for on the going through this great learning experience. The recent decades, including these pandemic years, have made it crystal clear that the divide between knowledge and lending no longer exists in development. The Knowledge Forum has convinced us that the continuous upgrading of the Asian knowledge base is the imperative of development organizations, including ADBI. So what DG Watanabe and DG Tomo just said applies also to ADBI. ADBI wants to become stronger to provide support for the development member countries in managing development challenges. This requires good knowledge management within ADBI and across ADB and ADBI. Only together can we identify and develop effective development strategies and improve the capacity for sound development of the agencies and organizations engaged in development work in Asia and the Pacific. So thank you very much, the Knowledge Forum, for enlightenment, motivation, and a lot of handy tips and tools for knowledge management. And I'm excited at the launch of ADB Innovation Hub, and congratulations the Knowledge Forum organizing team on the great success. Thank you all for your attention, and stay safe and healthy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dean Sonobe. Looking forward to working with you on innovation and capacity development for civil servants, and of course the policy research that you're doing anyway already. And I think this crisis has also brought us very close together, and we can actually leverage that a lot for our joint work. Thank you, Dean Sonobe. So with that, we'd like to turn now to our Managing Director General, Wu Chong, to share with us the call for action that we think needs to be shared with all of us.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Again, congratulations to everybody who's been involved in this Knowledge Forum. And I don't know if I told you, but this Knowledge Forum is probably my favorite event of the year, because this is what makes ADB different from any other financier. You know, we provide money, the good money, which is really important, but it comes with tremendous amount of knowledge built over the last 50 years and building for another 50 years. So it's quite appropriate to have the three gentlemen just before bringing in all the knowledge from different angles. So they're coming with key pillars. So, you know, Susan, maybe you can tell me what pillar can I bring? Maybe the anchor pillar.
You are the anchor pillar. You have to bring all pillars as a Managing Director General.
Yes, I love the
pillar. Foundation.
The anchor role. So I appreciate that. So today, this session is about call for action. So there are 5 things that you can see on the slide that we need to do. So first is about framing our challenge. So under our strategy, what are we trying to do? What kind of impact do we want to make using our knowledge? So we have to frame that. So you have to come up with the solutions, the trade-offs, what are we going to do and what are we going to give up and so forth. So that's a really important call for action. Second is about building teams around people. It's not about this beautiful building or some infrastructure, it's about people. So this knowledge is all about people and our behavior. So we need to identify key behavioral role models across the bank. And who are the visionaries? Who are the integrators? The ones who are making connections, the makers, problem solvers, implementers, and doers. But also, let's not forget the talkers as well, because as somebody said earlier, we do need to talk about this at all levels. And also, we need to identify these role models at different levels, from President Massa all the way down to the people you see on the ground as well. Third is about learning from failures. Now, this is really important, and one of my favorite event in the last few years was I think it was the Brilliant Failures that Suzanne organized with Han Kim and Edith Pandey. And I must say it was quite nerve-wracking a little bit, because I have to talk about what I failed in a big way, but in a positive way at the end of the day. So we do need to embrace that. We do need to create a psychological safety space for us to fail. But I must emphasize that you have to be careful. It's got to be with good effort. I'm not talking about recklessness, but try something new and push the envelope. But if you fail, make sure that you learn from it. And if you do that, then there's nothing that you're losing from this. Fourth is about embracing change. You know, our favorite Darwin. Adapting to change is what's gonna make us not just survive but thrive in the future. So we have to be constantly looking for change and embrace that and be able to fail with a change, but learning from it. And lastly is to create space to test new ways of doing things. So as I mentioned, we've had 50 years of great experience. Some of the experience will be something that we learn from and we apply, repeat, but many of these experiences that we have to learn from and do something differently. So we have to make sure that we learn from ourselves and others and other partners as well, and be able to produce something much, much bigger than what we have produced in the last 50 years. So again, just 5 things: frame your challenge, building teams around people, learn from failures, embrace change, and create that space to test new ways of doing things. So with that, let me finish my call for action. And again, congratulations to Suzanne, Vivek, and everybody else who's behind the scene making this happen. And well done, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Uchong. And I think we can stop sharing these slides and go now to the last moments of this knowledge forum. First of all, we want to thank management for the great support to trust us to do things differently and engage differently with partners and also with staff. Second, I want to say, some of you might have noted it in this session we had, in this closing session, we had actually 4 senior male members of management. And we started the forum with a lot of female leaders. So I think what we also have to realize is the reality is still different from the vision that we have in mind that we want to see. So we want to make sure that we we change also that, the diversity in our senior management, to actually make this transformation happening. And I think we have great champions here with all of you, Tomo and Watanabe-san and Uchong and Dean Sonobe, to make this happen. With that, we can close this forum. It was 3 amazing days. I think we are all exhausted. We thank everyone for participating and contributing. And I would like to thank this absolutely amazing team that made this possible in a record time, with working night and day with passion. And I think if one thing we achieved is it brought us closer together, and we think now, or we believe we can do everything. So have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the assets of the forum. You can visit the Hub and website for the next year. There is an expo available. All sessions have been recorded. We will use them for social media and for learning experiences, and share your experience and through our various platforms with us. We'll also have a survey. You've seen we had real-time evaluation, but we have also a post-event survey to learn what we can do better. And thanks to all ADB staff and employees who have been involved in this forum. Enjoy your weekend, and let's go together into the future and learn from the past. Goodbye.
Thank you.